Hey guys, what's up? Crappy weather today. Guess for the next few days. So no bee work. So what do? We do inside stuff. And Martin and I, we've been talking, Michigan Martin, he's fixing to pack it up and head back north in May, beginning of May, but he's trying to get at least 40 queens, mated queens, to go back with him in a bank back to Michigan, because he's got a fella that runs a commercial operation that took his bees to Georgia to pollinate whatever, we don't know, but he'll get those bees back about the same time he gets back north, or a little bit before. So when he gets the ground, he can be running and installing, splitting hives and putting these new queens, brand new queens, in them hives. And he plans on selling about 40 nooks real quick when he gets up there. So he's been busy working. He's been pumping out some queens. He's doing real well. And they put in 28 grafts yesterday. So working in between the raindrops. And anyway, he said he liked my umbrella pitchfork thing. He said he rigged one of those up and was working in the rain under an umbrella with a pitchfork. I did a video quite a while back where you can how to work bees in the rain, and I had one of them Harbor Freight big old brown umbrellas from Harbor Freight, and I just gorilla taped it to a pitchfork, and you could come up to the side of the hive, whichever hive you want to work, and shove it in the ground. And if you push come to shove, you got to work in between raindrops. That's the way to go. And I told him, I said, how did you attach that umbrella? And he said, with a bungee cord. Yeah, I said, good deal. I said, because trying to get that gorilla tape off of that umbrella, you got to be a gorilla to get that stuff off of there. So Martin got smart and used a bungee cord to do that. So anyway, we've been discussing and the strategies, different strategies. We're always brainstorming, him and I. It's always fun to brainstorm on these bees and try to get different strategies going, and whatever works, the easiest way to work bees and this and that. So what he's done, he's been watching, and I have too, been watching Bob Binney's videos where he went to Chris Warner's place over here in Webster, and Martin bought a nuke. He bought some cells over there too, just to get some, pump up his genetics from Chris over there. And we've been watching those, and them boys over there at Indian Summer, they use a 10-frame box, and they make kind of like a timing box where you can manipulate frames, and they take masonite and they cut slots in there, okay? And what they'll do is try to harvest, what their goal is to harvest 4-day-old larvae. So what I've been doing for forever is just going out to a hive, and you look in there and you find a frame of eggs with mixed stuff and this and that. You carefully brush your bees off, and that's fine. You can continue doing that. But if you want to kick it up a notch and not be on this big Easter egg hunt looking for these things, and if you want a 4-day-old larva, which like the commercial guys do, they all do this. So what they do is they put a queen in there with another frame that's a dark frame, say an older leathery frame, dark frame. It's a tough frame that they can graft from, because grafting is you'll blow the sides out on those fresh combs. When you got your little Chinese tool in there, whatever, you'll blow them things out. Most of them use the Chinese tool. I kind of like the German tool myself, and I'm slow as molasses at it, but that's okay, because I'm not a commercial beekeeper. I'm just, basically a hobbyist anymore. Got away from all that heavy duty box pumping and lifting heavy boxes and all. I got away from that. But anyway, they put that frame with that queen on it in a slot. They make a 2-frame slot in there, and that's just done by dropping masonite in between to where you're isolating 2 frames, right? And they drop one of them leathery frames in. Well, they come back in 4 days, and they snatch that frame out of there, and just if she's on it, they put her over here, and they may just go ahead and drop, in that same box, they've got some more of these leathery frames that they are, but she can't lay in them because she's over here trapped inside of this slot track. So they keep things numbered and whatnot, and so they'll grab another one of them leathery frames and drop it in here. Now, after they harvest their eggs and stuff, they take that, I'm sure, and drop into another colony that's already established, and they can just keep going, you know, and those eggs can develop and hatch in there. So it's kind of cool that you can develop the system with a timing box. We call it a timing box, and where you can harvest graftable larvae that's 4 days old. That's the key, 4-day-old larva. So here's, Martin's been doing this with a 2-framer, and he says it's working out beautiful for him. He's got a little excluder on the bottom. He's got 2 slots, well, he's got a 2-frame box. There's only 2 frames going in it. And one of those frames, he has pulled up and put the queen up in there. And he can double stack them, or just have them, just her by herself, you know, with her brood, her bees, and then drop in a leathery frame next to it. And in 4 days, he's got graftable larvae. Okay, so here's the Steve-O plan, all right? Instead of using a 2-frame, I'm using a 5-frame box because most of my stuff's 5-frame. Now I can do this on an existing colony. See, if I've got a colony that I really like, I'll use that as my breeder, all right? So I'm going to make this box up, and this will go on top of it, all right? So here's what I'm going to do. I've got 2 frames. I got a center line mark. Now, I could shove these frames all the way over, all right? And I could cut. I'm going to put I could put a division wall in here like so, which I'm going to do, and it's just going to be brad nailed in with my air brad nailer. It's going to be shot in. There won't be no glue action or nothing. I won't be needing it. But you can see right here there's going to be a slight gap. I'll cut a sliver of wood and put it in there. This division wall is going to come up the same height as this box here, okay? But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to center these 2 frames. I want it centered over the nest. I think it'll encourage the bees more in the existing colony below to come up in here to be with Mama. She's going to be up in here. She's going to be trapped up in here. So I'm going to put 2 division walls in here. They'll be up here close, right? And what I'm going to do there, I'm going to put 1 on each side division wall. Then you're going to have a space at the bottom. It's going to be probably 1 inch. I was just looking at this material. It's going to be about 1 inch. I'll run a 1-inch strip of 3/4 down a bandsaw and slide it in between this wall and that partition wall and shoot it in a couple of brads just to suspend that in there, okay? Now, what we'll do, once those division walls are in and I've got my little poles plugged off here, this will be an open space here. I think that's going to be fine and dandy. The bees aren't going to, if I see it's a problem, I'll put a little cellophane or whatever across there, just something thin to fill that in. But it's not going to be necessary. All right, now, what I'll do once my boards are all on here, installed in here, my division wall, so I've got the 2 frames in the center. And the reason I didn't do this with this timing box with a Beefy, SD Beefy, the Steve-O Beefy beehive, is because I'd have to modify this excluder. I'd have to add a piece of excluder because I'm using one-by materials. The one-by materials out here. All my boxes, Beefy boxes, and these standard 5-frame Nook, they'll intermingle with my Beefies. Granted, I'll have a little box sticking out here, but the seal, there would be no bee space where they can crawl out. So the reason I've had quite a few of these, and I'm sure this will probably be all you have, unless you're building beefy beehives like Steve-O. So anyway, once your partition walls are in, this will be completely blocked off here with wood. It'll be flush here. So all the opening you're going to have is 2-inch for the 2 frames right here. Once that's all done, bada bing, this gets slapped on here like that. Now everything's equal thickness. You won't have any bee space, you know, erratical bee space, whatever. This is all going to be flat here. And you just shoot it in with a T50. You just shoot this down with a T50 around here. So that's that. I mean, so simple, guys. Very simple box. I don't know if there's anything out there on the market looks like this. Nobody talks about it. But that's the reason we beekeepers are always brainstorming, trying to come up with cooler things and easy things to get the job done. So this is the way you could do it. Once you harvest your here's your frame with your queen on it. When you're ready to do this, all you got to do is go downstairs, find your breeder queen with all her stuff on. The beauty of this is you do not have to touch this queen. You just pull her up here, set this box on top of your existing box, and you drop her in here in this slot. Take your other frame. What I'm thinking of doing too is going through my colonies and looking it over, and all those older frames, them tougher leathery frames, say it's got spotty brood on it and all that. Don't want a bunch of drone comb or anything like that crazy on it. Take it out, brush the bees off, and put it in the freezer, deep freezer, right? Put it in the deep freezer. When you move her up in here, you could leave her up in here and drop a plain foundation in here. Put a feeder up here too. That's the other beauty of this. You're putting a feeder up here. These bees are really feeding this larva. You could take that one out of the freezer, let it hit room temperature, throw it downstairs, let them clean out all that old brood and everything, so it's spit shine polished. Then when you're ready to go, come up and drop it in here. Have several of those to see if you want a lot of queen cell production, right? After the 4 days, when you pull this out and brush these bees off, look it over, make sure if she's on here, carefully get her over here. You can pick her up, move her over here. Then harvest your frame. Do your grafting. Take this frame here and move it into another colony. Just drop it into another colony. They'll jump right on those eggs and finish those eggs out for you. Then you can drop another one of them leathery combs in. Come back in 4 days. Now you've got another whole batch of 4-day-old perfect age larvae to graft from. So you could just keep this ball rolling. You could set up several. You know, if you want to really high produce this thing, set up several queen starters, cell starters. After 4 days, pull them 4 or 5 days or 6 days. Pull those cells out of there, put them in your incubator until you either want to, the day they're ready to go in a nook, or you could hatch them off as virgins in your incubator. So there's quite a bunch of ways you can go, but this is a very cool way to go to get the perfect age larva that you need for grafting. But like I said, you can still go back to the old method of going in there finding eggs, but it just takes longer. You got to hunt around and find what's the best age, you know, looks like the best, and dig that out. But I'm going to play with this. This will be fun. I probably won't graft for a while. I've got to let my resources build back up out here. It takes a lot of resources. You guys hobbyists getting into this thing, just, you know, you don't think you're going to get away with just buying one beehive. It won't work. You got to have get at least 5 beehives going. Save up your money, whatever, and invest in packages or nooks. You could buy, the fastest way to go is buy nooks, and at least get 5 established colonies. Then you've got enough resources where you can start playing these games with you know, queen rearing and grafting, because it takes a lot of resources. There's no need making a bunch of queens if you don't have the resources to put her off into starter colonies you know, and the cheapest way to go on it is two frame nooks. But you can get away very nicely with just 5-frame boxes. You can run the entire operation with 5-frame boxes, and you don't even need to get into 10-frame equipment. Just depends on what you're going to do with these bees. You know, you got to ask yourself, what am I going to do with these bees? Am I making honey? Am I going to set up a little honey stand? What am I doing? Am I going to, you know, you got to get that figured out. But no matter what you do, it's going to be a fun journey for you, okay? In the bees. All right, so this is just a quickie, a quick video. Thought I'd throw it out. The timing box. And it's going to be a beautiful thing, guys. And just remember this, guys. If everything is working perfectly and nothing's broken, you know, Joe will break it. I'll see you on the next one, guys. Bye-bye.